Hello, I'm Rich McKeating and this is my badly edited, slightly patronising video. I hope you enjoy and I hope you get some useful info and I hope I learn some better editing skills.
Make the world great again!
Great news! Most of the world's intelligent, beautiful, normal-sized hand leaders have declared that they're going to honour the Paris Agreement. An agreement which aims, amongst other things, to keep rising global temperatures under 2 degrees of pre-industrial levels. Now this is a really good thing and I'm really excited about it. As boring as it might sound, I'm excited about it for the health implications of not just me, but my kids, who I love so much, and future generations. We're already seeing the massive implications of climate change. It's all around us. The world is getting hotter. Ice caps are melting. Sea levels are rising by about 1/8 of an inch every year. Floods and storms have increased by about 300% since 1960. It's not looking good. Obviously, this is a complex issue. I'm not trying to patronise anyone or put myself on a pedestal. There's plenty of stuff beyond us just recycling that needs to happen on an industrial level, on a political level, on a global level. I just want to go through what we can each personally do that might make a difference. So, what food decisions can we make which might help, which might make a difference? Well, every single day, there are 218,000 new mouths that need feeding. And that's a big problem because 790 million people on this planet today don't have enough food to eat already. In fact, every 10 seconds, a child under the age of 5 dies from a hunger-related illness. There goes one. There goes another. You see, it's happening already and we can't just carry on ignoring it because sooner or later it's going to catch up with us. So let's think about some practical things that we can actually do. So this is the first suggestion and it's one of the hardest suggestions for me to face because it affects me very personally. One of the biggest things we can all do personally to help improve the environment from a nutritional point of view is reduce our meat consumption. Yeah, I know, I said it. And I love meat. I mean, I really love meat. Bacon. But there's no doubt about the amount of meat that we're eating per person is massively contributing to the destruction of our planet, and it's just not sustainable. Meat isn't healthy. We need protein, especially if you're a guy who likes to lift the weights, such as myself and such as every upstanding citizen of this country. But nevertheless, we've got to do something, and this is one of the important first steps we need to look at and take seriously. About 15% of all global emissions come directly from animal production. Not just from the animals themselves, but from the transportation of those animals and from the energy used for making those animals. And also, more directly, from the acres of land which are cleared every single day in order to make room for things like cattle. And then of course, if you're making room for cattle, you've got to make room for all the land which is going to produce crops, which is going to feed that cattle. And all those crops are going to require fertiliser, and that fertiliser might run off into water supplies, which might contaminate water supplies and kill biodiversity in streams and rivers, and might also cause acidification of the oceans. We're going to talk a little bit about fish in a moment, but staying on the subject of animals. I should probably make an important distinction here between the types of animals that we eat. For example, ruminant animals such as cows and sheep have a far bigger environmental impact than monogastric animals such as pigs and chicken and turkey. And the reason for that is because of their digestive system, which causes them to produce far more greenhouse gases. Now, there's a problem with all animal production, there's no doubt about that, but it's just worth pointing out for the simple distinction that in theory, a vegetarian who ate a lot of dairy products, for example, might have a bigger environmental impact than a meat eater who just eats a bit of chicken, turkey and eggs from time to time. That being said, it's all by the by, we've got to make our own food choices. But let's just go into this a bit more deeply. So, ruminants are the world's largest producers of methane. This is a super toxic greenhouse gas that stays in the environment for about 12 years, and it's about 25 to 30 times more potent than CO2. And another big production spin-off from animal industry is nitric oxide. Nitric oxide stays in the environment for about 120 years, and it's about 300 times more potent than CO2. Hopefully now you start to get the idea of why animal production really is a big problem for the environment. And I'm not some vegetarian trying to push this, I love meat, but it's something we've got to start considering and bearing in mind for our future and for our children's future. So what about fish? Well, fish is really good for us. Nutrition experts, dietitians, in fact government guidelines state that we should probably try and have oily fish twice a week. And some people are concerned that we don't have enough fish. The big problem we have is overfishing of certain species. We're probably overfishing things like cod and tuna by about 2 to 3 times more than we can reasonably sustain. And there's a big concern that at the current rate, within 31 years, we'll have decimated the supply beyond the point at which it can reasonably recover. And the way that we fish too causes innocent bystanders to suffer, such as dolphins, turtles and other types of sea life. So reducing our consumption of tuna and salmon and shrimp, even though we have things like farmed salmon now and reasonable spin-offs, there's still a lot of concerns with the supply. Sustainable fishing sources include things like herring and sardines, mussels, anchovies and oysters. So we need to possibly find ways of incorporating more of those into our diets. So reducing animal consumption is important for the environment, but protein is still important for our health. So where should we be getting our protein from? Well, there's more need to increase from vegetarian sources such as quinoa, beans, nuts, various different types of legumes, and even vegetarian type proteins such as corn and soy and so on. There's always going to be an environmental cost to any type of food production. It's just that some have much less of an impact than others. Another great way in which we can help save the environment is food wastage. Every single year we throw away 7.3 million tonnes of waste. Remember those starving kids I mentioned earlier? Every 10 seconds was it? I wonder how many have gone since I last mentioned them. Anyway, back to all that food that we just throw away every single year. If we somehow managed to save that food, it would be the equivalent of reducing cars on the road by about 25%. So it's worth doing just for the environment, but actually it's worth doing for our health too. One of the ways in which we could save food is simply to plan. If we knew what food we was going to have in advance, then we could plan our meals, shop for only what we need, serve out proper portions, and we'd all be a bit thinner and healthier as a consequence. Other things that we can do, well, we can use the freezer more, make better use of leftovers, and just make more of a conscious effort to be aware of what we're throwing away. Maybe not be quite so such a stickler for sell-by dates, that kind of thing. There's lots of good resources other than some guy like me on a video talking about it. But it's worth looking into, is all I'm saying. Another type of food waste, which isn't often talked about, is metabolic food waste. These are the calories that we consume which don't contribute to our repair, they don't contribute to growth, These are just needless calories. Things like sugary, fat, crispy, takeaway goodness, alcohol, biscuits, ice cream, all that kind of stuff. Which is great stuff. I love that stuff and I want to keep on having it. But it's worth bearing in mind that it's not just bad for our health, it's bad for the environment, which might just give us another incentive to cut down on it a bit. Of course, there's more to it than this. There's more actions we can take. We can save the amount of water that we use. We can make sure we've not got the lights on in every single room, or that we don't have televisions blaring when nobody's watching them. We can walk more often. We can get the kids to school quicker if we're not in an SUV trying to find a parking space. And we're going to get fitter and healthier at the same time. There's all kinds of actions that we can take. And they're only simple things, but if we all do them, it might make a difference. If we all do it, we might stand a chance, along with the other actions that need to take place. I know this video has not been as much fun as my other videos, but there was a few important points which I've been thinking a lot more about recently, and I just wanted to make them. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. This is Rich McKeaton with normal sized hands. Let's make the world great again. Thank you.